Greetings and welcome, bronies and random YouTubers. My name is Xadow, and today we're talking about amending fences. This will probably be a short video, as I don't really have many major things to say about it. However, how it starts off is a little odd to me. The interactions between Twilight and Spike are fine, and actually segue into the plot of the episode pretty naturally given the dialogue and Twilight's neurotic tendencies. Now what's odd to me is that Spike is doing the dishes. And the only reason that that's odd to me is because it's basically said by Twilight that she's been hosting some events in the castle related to princess stuff, and that's why there's a build-up of dishes and chores and things. And if you're hosting for another diplomat in your home, a small gathering sort of thing, then this wouldn't be a big deal. But apparently, there were 3 full-blown events that we were not privy to, meaning large gatherings that would likely need to be staffed, thus kitchen workers should have been doing the dishes, not Spike. I may be focusing on this a little too much, but my main point that I'm trying to make here is that this is not the Golden Oaks library, and Twilight needs to get that through her flippin' head. This is her castle, for pony's sake. She needs to get staff for the place eventually, and stop using Spike for the much larger menial tasks of housekeeping and upkeep that a castle requires. He's your assistant / kid brother, not your maid. Then again, who knows? Maybe this is pandering and is wish fulfillment to older sisters out there who wish that they could use their kid brothers as personal maids. I don't like it. As for the actual plot of the story, you know, the thing that actually matters, I loved it to little tiny bits! In fact, I was actually going to write a fanfic about this very topic a few years ago, but never got around to it. The fanfic was going to take place while Twilight was still young and studying in Canterlot, focusing on the idea that despite Twilight having no pony but Cadence and Shining Armor as ponies that she would consider her friends, there were actually ponies back at Canterlot who would have considered themselves Twilight's friends regardless. The story would have revolved her going about her life as Twilight, shutting ponies out and nosing a book all the time, while the others reached out to her, actively trying to get her involved in their lives and ultimately being friends for her in the hopes that she would end up being friends with them over time. The story would end with flashing forward a few years later, Twilight revisiting those ponies, thanking them for never giving up on her and actually becoming good friends with them from that day forward. Now, the story of this episode took it in a bit of a different direction, focusing less on the past, though that element is there, and more so being the story trying to mend a bond between Twi and one of the friends from the past that her neurotic tendencies and lone wolf nature of the time burned a little too much and ended up hurting them. Though the specific focal event where this happened to take place was during the Nightmare Moon incident, so I'd give Twilight a pass in my book. I also really like the juxtaposition how Twilight is making a big deal about this in the beginning of the episode, as Twilight would, but Lemonheart, Twinkleshine, and especially Minuet are like, pfft, nah, it's no big diggy. That's not a word. It is now. It's no big diggy. Friends grow apart sometimes, and there doesn't always have to be hurt feelings about it. As Minuet eloquently put, sometimes you just move on. On to Moondancer. They say that Moondancer is exactly like Twilight used to be, but I think that needs to be amended a little bit, little clearing up here. Twilight may have been just as antisocial, but she had more tact from what we saw. Maybe that comes from the ponies and Spike, who Twilight had in her life, that Moondancer didn't.
I just need to be alone so I can study without a bunch of crazy ponies trying to make friends all the time. I just need to be alone so I can study without some crazy pony trying to make friends, all right?
Oh, the delicious irony. And then when Moondancer is interested in how Twilight got literally into the book that she was reading, just look at this face. This is Twilight's hook, line, and sinker face. Ha ha! I've got you now. And Haycart! Yes! Yes! Mage, Meadowbrooks, and Haycart! Season 5 is finally giving us names of other magically inclined ponies from the past who made contributions to the field of magic outside of Star Swirl, the only one to ever do anything the Bearded! Yes! And now, here's something we hope you'll really like. Or at least I liked it. I like how making up for the past took some real emotional hashing out, rather than just Moon Dancer at some point realizing that she was wrong to shut herself off from the world. It could have easily gone that route. However, and maybe this is just something that I can't relate to because I've never had an issue with low self-esteem, I found it a bit odd that Moon Dancer points out that it was Lemon Heart, Twinkle-Shine, and Minuet that made her feel like she had any worth, but that Twilight simply not showing up to her party broke that. I mean, the ponies that mattered most by that statement did in fact show up. And I know that Moon Dancer could relate to Twilight and that they were more on the same wavelength, but she specifically said that it was those three that made her feel any self-worth. Maybe it's a vulnerability that people face with low self-esteem, that one person not giving them the time of day could be devastating. And if that's the case, well, there you go. It works. But I personally can't relate to that, and I don't see any reason that Twilight's absence would cause her to close up when she had those three with her. And then the episode ends with yet another little nod to the concept of having friends without realizing it, when it turns out that Moon Dancer had another three friends in the librarian, the bookseller, and her very own sister. It's at times like these that I remember my absolute favorite quote from The Land Before Time. I used to love those movies growing up. Not so much now, save for the first one, which I could still watch today and think it's a masterpiece, but I digress. This quote comes from Grandpa Longneck in the movie Journey to Big Water. He says, "In a world so full of life, you're only as alone as you choose to be." Now there's a lot of truth to these words, and it's a good lesson to take to heart. And though it may not be the main theme of this episode, it's still a lesson that is shown, and even if it's not focused on, I feel like it really deserves to be highlighted here. Anyway, I award this episode a solid A. It was entertaining, a topic that I wanted to see explored in MLP, it had a couple of good morals to it, and all around, it left me with a pretty good feeling at the end. So, I hope to see you all next time when I review Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep? I'm sure this title is a reference to something that I don't get, since Magic Sheep had nothing to do with the episode and we never got an answer to this incredibly important question. But, you know, until then, remember to have fun. Bye! Well, it's about time I put out another video, right? Well, actually, this is going to be the last one for a while. It's been delayed so many times because, well, I'm trying to stick my fingers in too many pies at one point. That's disgusting, but you get the analogy. Anyway, I'm trying to do too much, and I need to slow down and just take time to do what I need to do. I'm going to finish up that Christmas in July video, and until I do, there will be no more review videos for a while. So it really shouldn't take like too long, but by saying that I'm kind of making it seem like it's not going to take long at all. It's probably going to take a while, but I'll have it done well before July at the very least. So expect reviews later than that, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so have a good day, have a good night, whenever you're watching this, and thank you for watching. Okay, bye.